Hi all, Andy here and welcome back to the channel where today we're talking all about lacquer peel and why it seems to affect the Red Audi TTs more than any other colour. If you own a Red Mark 1 or possibly a Mark 2, you are more than likely to be experiencing this in some way, shape or form, unless the car has led a very sheltered and protected life. Yes, lacquer peel does affect most of these older 20 years plus cars, but the red cars definitely suffer more than others. So why is this? Well, this is a question I hope to answer today with some help from ChatGPT, research and science. Let's start off with looking at the problem. TTs tend to comprise of a 3-layer finish with primer, paint and lacquer making up your car's exterior. After 20 years, the lacquer tends to turn opaque in patches and eventually starts to peel away from the paint, leaving the paint exposed. The car ends up with patches of missing lacquer. The location of these patches tend to be on the bonnet, on the roof, including the roof rails, which suffer particularly badly, and the boot lid. These locations seem to be key, as we shall touch on shortly. But why red cars? Why is it affecting these more than most? Well, I decided to ask ChatGPT for an answer to see if artificial intelligence can trawl the web and give me some sensible responses. For those that do not know about ChatGPT, it is an open source artificial intelligence software that you can use the entire internet as a resource to answer questions, a bit like Google for big boys. If you have not tried it, give it a try. You will be surprised how much sensible stuff it can come up with. So the question I posed was, why does lacquer peel on red cars? And it came back with 7 responses. Not all I agree with, as they are not particularly relevant to this case study, but highlighting one of the theories I have for the red pigment, although not in the way I would have raised it. So reason 1 is UV radiation. The suggestion here is that the sun is causing damage to the paint over time. Yep, totally agree with this, and it also ties in nicely with the location of the peeling. The majority of the peeling is on the surfaces that take the full sun for the majority of the time, the upwards facing surfaces. On this basis, the sun doing the damage makes perfect sense as it is beaming directly on the bonnet, roof and boot lid. The red pigment's often more susceptible to fading and damage from UV sun rays than other colours, but we'll look at this in more depth shortly, as that is the key part to red cars. Poor quality of paint or application of paint. Well, I disagree with this, as the red paint and clear coat is likely to be applied in a similar fashion to the other colours. So no, I do not think it is a factor on the Audi TT Mark 1 and 2. Same as chemical exposure in extreme weather. Although this appears to have no correlation to the colour, as detergents or snow, wind and salt do not seem to discriminate, it is something to consider when we are looking to minimise further damage to the paint or clear coat. Again, we will cover this more shortly. Age of the car. Again, this will be an impact to all cars, as all older paints will deteriorate, but maybe there is some science behind the red paint here too. Pre-existing damage or inadequate clear coat we will discount, as I do not think these are factors on clear coat damage on the Audis. On the whole, Audi is a reputable brand and you would hope they are using high quality paints. So delving a bit deeper on the red paint, it's worth looking at where the colour comes from. Red paints tend to contain more oxides than other paints, as the red pigment has often been extracted from iron oxide over history. You may have used red oxide primer when repairing car bodywork at home, as it helps protect bodywork from rust. Most primers used on the TT, when I rubbed it back, they tend to be light in colour, so I do not think it is the general primer on all cars. However, the red top coat cars such as Amulet and Misano Red will likely contain higher levels of oxides. These oxides break down over time and alter the chemical makeup of the paint, which in turn allows the lacquer to lose its adhesive qualities to the paint. The atmospheric conditions on chemicals, which can damage all lacquers on all car colours, could therefore impact the more sensitive red pigment cars. So the point on chemical damage may actually have some relevance after all to lacquer peel on red cars. So we know red cars have more oxides and they react with the UV rays from the sun. So what is happening from a scientific perspective? Well, the red oxides in the paint are reacting with the UV light through a process called selective absorption. Red oxides are very good absorbers of UV light and therefore they react more easily with the sunlight to alter their chemical makeup. This UV light is able to penetrate the clear coat more easily on older paint, as it is likely to have had more years of microscopic abrasions in it from grit, stone chips, over aggressive cleaning, maybe using cutting compounds that have also done damage too. This change in chemical compound results in the paint and lacquer losing its chemical adhesion. Car body panels expand and contract in the heat and cold also, which acts as a vehicle to create the lift between the two layers. Once this happens, there is very little that can be done other than removing the remaining lacquer and reapplying a new coat. However, the paint is likely to continue reacting in the future due to the nature of the remaining oxides. I have recently spoken with a paint technician who advised me the best thing to do is respray the entire area or the entire car. Sounds a bit severe, but he did say that both layers need addressing to solve the issue. So can anything be done to avoid this in the first place? Well, yes it can. There are products on the market that will limit UV exposure to the paintwork by applying a ceramic coat to the paint. Not only does the ceramic coating of the car make it look and feel nice and easier to clean, it also adds that important UV protection to your paintwork. The ceramic coatings do not actually filter out the UV light from hitting your paint, but it does prevent the UV radiation damage. This is because ceramic coatings are very resistant to the oxidization of the clear coat, preventing it breaking down and allowing the paint to be attacked. Obviously, ceramic coatings will not protect your paint from chip damage from impact, but sun damage is limited. Until I did this research, I had always been dubious about the importance in protection, but this really does seem to do what it said on the tin. Think of it as a sun cream for your car. Hopefully that gives you an insight into what I found for the Red Mk1 TTs and the problem they have with lacquer or clear coat peel. Wouldn't it be great if every red TT out there looked as good as some of the examples in this video? I hope you found today's video useful. If you have, then please do give this video a thumbs up and also think about subscribing to my channel if you've not already done so, where you'll find a whole host of content on the Audi TT Mk1. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon. Take care.